This this video is about prepping and preppers. People that, there's a lot of prepper channels on YouTube, as you know, and I'm sure all of you know. They're all over YouTube. Jimmy Rance is one of the guys, actually. He's a big prepper. And a lot of people associate van life and RV life with prepping. You know, preparing for shit hits the fan situations, or World War III, or natural disasters, or what have you, or government military takeovers. I've never been one of those guys. I'm not a big tinfoil hatter. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, although I do believe there's a lot more than meets the eye, and we shouldn't just believe whatever we read in the news and what the government tells us. But I also believe that we should always be prepared, always. And a lot of people who want to get into this lifestyle seem to come up with reasons why they shouldn't do it or why they can't do it. And one of them is, you know, like for example, the people that ask the questions over and over, like, well, how do you get water? How do you do laundry? How do you get your mail? You know, things like this. They're almost like, it's like people are looking for reasons not to do this lifestyle, when in reality, all of those are very small things. None of them really matter in the big scheme of things. Like mail, doesn't everyone have a friend to use for mail, or at least get a post box? Laundry, you could do it in the same place millions of people do their laundry. Laundromats, they're in every city and every town in the world, pretty much. So those aren't reasons not to live this lifestyle. Water, well, you got to fill up every once in a while. That means you're being self-sustaining, which is like, you know, human beings have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, but having running water and electricity and heat on demand and cooking facilities and refrigerators, things like this, we've only had for what, 50, maybe 100 years at the most. Like, this is all just it's a very small amount of time we've had these things, but human beings got along without all this in the past, so people are afraid to give up these things. And to me, none of that stuff is necessary. It's a nice thing to have. It's a convenience, like refrigeration and a stove and all that, but it certainly isn't a necessity. It's no surprise to me that many people can sell their houses and give up their mortgages or get rid of their apartments, and they move into little vans like Volkswagens or cargo vans, and they end up being happier than they've ever been before in their life, even though they don't have the floor-to-ceiling fridges and the ice makers and the hot tubs and the walk-in closets. Sometimes they don't even have fridges and kitchens at all. I mean, what I've got in here, I mean, I've got fireplace, a TV, a fridge, I've got a bathroom, I've got everything in here. This is all almost overkill. I mean, you don't need all this stuff even. Yes, it makes things better, it's more comfortable, but could I survive without it? Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you something right now. I always have my water tanks and my propane tanks and my gas tanks filled at least half. I try to keep it always at 2/3 for everything, just in case the shit does hit the fan. I live in BC. This is earthquake country. So if the big one hits and people have no power or amenities for a few weeks, I want to make sure I'm good for a few weeks and I don't have to worry about that stuff. If something really bad hit the fan, like World War III, God forbid, we'd probably all die anyways, but at least I have a fighting chance driving off to the mountains or something. At least I'd be, you know, prepared to survive for a while on my own. And to me, that is self-sustaining, and that gives me comfort. People that, a lot of people are afraid to do this because they don't want to give up their comforts. But to me, it's the opposite. When I lived in an apartment, I didn't feel comfortable knowing that I was at the mercy of someone else for my electricity. I was at the mercy of someone else for my water supply. I was also like, I couldn't get away if something happened. Like if an earthquake hit, I'd have 5 floors above me that were going to come down on top of me. Or if a war broke out or shit hit the fan in any way whatsoever, you're stuck in one spot unless you're going to leave everything you own and try to escape on foot or on a bicycle or something like that. Like, at least this way, I have more control. And I can control what I have and how long I can survive. And if you get enough warning, you can get the hell out of Dodge. And you have some time to leave and kind of go for a bug out location. I find this much more secure than living in a house or an apartment. So in that sense, it's actually the opposite. People have this illusion of security when they're in a house and they're connected to hydropower and they're paying a bill for electricity and they have running water and all that, but all of that stuff can be gone just like that. And just a few days ago, there was a big storm out here in Port Coquitlam in a Vancouver suburb, and they were out of power everywhere. Guess who still had power? Even their phones went down. My phone worked, my electricity worked, my heat worked, my power worked, you know, and that was just a regular little power outage from a big storm. So I don't think that it's less secure being in this situation. I think it's much more secure. And so even though I'm not a hardcore prepper, I think that it's very smart if you're prepping to, if you're living this lifestyle, you kind of have an edge over everyone else and you're ready to go. You should be ready to go. If you're living this lifestyle and you've got empty water tanks, empty propane tanks, and no food in your cupboards, then you're just as good as anyone else, I guess. But definitely it could help in a situation when you need to sustain yourself. Now, if it's just a natural disaster or something, you're probably okay staying where you are, parked in your vehicle. If it's an earthquake, well, your house is built on shock absorbers. As long as a big tree doesn't come down on your roof, you're okay. But I mean, that could happen just as easily in a house, right? If a tree comes down on your roof. But if it was like a really bad situation, like a big war or something like that, at least you would have a fighting chance and you'd be able to get out of town if you could. At least you'd have a good chance of it, especially if you had some warning. Watch the news, you know? Get the hell out of town, where other people are going to scramble to, you know, hide in their basements and hope they have enough water to ride it out. I'd much rather be in this situation. So anyways, I know there's a lot of people out there that come up with excuses or reasons why they don't want to do this. Now, I think a lot of single people and couples, there really isn't any reason why they can't do this. Maybe if you have a family with, you know, a bunch of kids or whatever, and you've chosen that type of lifestyle, then you're not gonna. It's not gonna be as easy to do this unless you're in a really big rig and you're not in the cities. But other than that, I mean, I can't really see a reason why anyone wouldn't want to do this or wouldn't do this once they realize that it's a possibility. If you're out there and you're single or you're a couple, and you've been considering doing something like this, but there's some obstacles stopping you from doing it, then tell me why. What is the reason why you think you can't do this lifestyle? Is it just because it's too different? It's just not the norm, so it scares you? Or because you're worried about where you're going to pick up your mail once a month or every 2 months? Or where you're going to fill up your water? I mean, all of these non-problems are non-problems. So what's the real reasons? What's stopping you from doing it? I don't know if you guys saw that video from Line Screw One, but he was reading over his statistics, and there was one study done out a while ago that showed that there might be actually over 1.2 or 1.3 million people in North America alone doing this, living this lifestyle. So it's not like it's new. It certainly isn't new. It's been going on for decades. But it's also not that rare. There are people everywhere doing it. Every city, there are hundreds or thousands of people doing it. Some cities hundreds, some cities thousands, I guess, depending on the city, the where you are on the continent, whether it's colder or warmer, and city bylaws, things like that. But I mean, there's so many people doing it and so many people jumping on the bandwagon, as evidenced by all the people watching channels like mine. So I wonder what's stopping you from doing it. And all you preppers out there, you know, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome, and I agree with you that this sort of thing is great for prepping and getting ready for. You never know what'll happen. You never know what the future's going to bring you, right? It's better to be prepared at all times, and so I feel a lot more secure knowing that everything's stocked and I can turn my key and get the hell out of here if I have to. And you know what? I mean, if there's any friends of mine living in their brick and mortar houses along my way to my bug out location, I'll pick them up on my way, and they're going to be damn glad that I've got this motorhome. I'll tell you that much. But anyways, if you've got objections to, or if you want to let me know why you think you can't do it, I'd like to hear your reasons and see what the legitimate reasons are out there of why you think you can't do this. And any preppers out there who have any questions too, you know, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you. So keep on rocking in the free world. Cheers. Hey, so what do you think of van life?
Van life's f***ing awesome.